Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. Look, I think in my mind, at least from the presentations I've seen, we've been discussing obviously a moment, right? It's a infrastructure moment, it's an industrial moment, it's a technology moment, it's a geopolitical moment, it's a labor moment. And I think what I'd like to do is spend a few minutes telling you about Scout Motors, basically a company that's been designed to meet this exact complex moment, but in my mind, a massive opportunity of a moment. So you had a chance to see the governor of the state of South Carolina, Governor McMaster, where our factory is. And of course, when we speak to the state, we always look at the launch, what we're preparing to do, and most importantly, what legacy do we want to leave behind as a company, as corporate citizens in that state. But of course, with Scout Motors, you have to sort of start with the legacy. So I'll go through a brief history lesson. Where exactly did Scout Motors come from? And I think as many of you know, the fourth largest corporation in America at the time in the 70s, International Harvester, a company that did an awful lot of things for America, from feeding it to defending it, and of course, a massive company. But in there, of course, they came up with a magical idea for the consumer to sell a thing at the time, which was called crazy, an SUV. As you can imagine, America was a dramatically different automotive environment at that time, and SUV was quite a radical idea. Now, a long story short, the company got broken up, different pieces got acquired, but of course in 2021, Volkswagen Group acquired Navistar. In there was the IP, the rights to this iconic Scout brand. Now, if you look at what it did back in the day, I think first and foremost, you argue basically the godfather of the SUV. It was basically one of the first, one of the earliest without a doubt. And in fact, its very name has basically led to almost every SUV you see on the road. Trailblazer, Blazer, 4Runner, Discovery, on and on, they all follow the original one. So that's the icon we want to bring back to life. This is the moment to bring it back to life. And I think, of course, this is the chance to do that. So the question is, why? And what gives us something unique that we can bring to life? I think first and foremost, obviously, we're hiring a team as we speak. We're hiring a team from the ground up that gives us a clean slate, which is powerful. I think the product, without a doubt, this product category, this product segment, and this product belief system are coming back in a very big way in America, and we want, of course, follow that. I think the brand itself is an opportunity to bring back an iconic American brand. Now, the other two things we have, which is powerful, of course, our funders and our sponsors are, of course, the Volkswagen Group. So, of course, this gives us capital, which is fantastic. It gives us the ability to ramp up a plant and all the skill sites that we have. It also gives us terms and trades and conditions with a supply base that allows us to bring a very cost-effective product to the marketplace. So that's a fantastic thing. Now, the flip side of old corporations, of course, is legacy. Legacy, of course, can bring complexity. Legacy, of course, can bring cost. Legacy can bring scar tissue that you don't want to have. So that is the other critical thing that we have. It's a completely clean sheet in terms of our processes, in terms of our systems, in terms of not having legacy infrastructure, legacy factories, and all of the agreements. So that balance is what's going to allow us to be competitive. That balance is what's going to allow us to get into this marketplace. Now, as we look at it, in my mind, there's sort of three things happening, and if we do them well, obviously we'll be immensely successful. I think without a doubt, the American market is crystal clear. The profits are in these segments. We are going to pour our two products into these segments. But basically 80% of the market here, $10 billion in profit potential, without a doubt. I think the other thing with electrification is we don't want to lose sight of making a proper vehicle. I think there's a sense if you make it electric, it's going to be delicate. If you make it electric, I can't use it. If you make it electric, I can't take it anywhere. And of course, that's an opportunity. The other thing is this moment that we've all been mentioning. And I think there is a window. It's a chance to seize this window in terms of obviously the investments that are on the table, the transformation in the market, and that window won't last, which is why it's imperative to move aggressively and move judiciously now, which is exactly what we intend to do. Now, if you look at what we are building and you look at this segment, what you see an awful lot of in this segment is a lot of the same headlines. We're building a car that's going to dominate nature. We're building a car that's going to dominate the terrain. And I don't think nature needs to be dominated in any way. I think this sort of agro sort of world, I think what we're going to bring to life is a vehicle that connects. And if you think of one thing that is screaming in American society, it's connection. And I think you look at these vehicles when it was in the 60s, whether it was a simple thing as a bench seat in the front, whether it's a simple front gate or a tailgate, build things that connect as opposed to things that disconnect. It's going to be a powerful standing of our brand and obviously the product that we bring to the market. I think the second thing, if you look at vehicles, there's basically two types of vehicles in this category. There's mainstream, which is vehicles that navigate around suburban malls and do all sorts of things about parking cars and getting out of there. Great. Usually focused on price point, usually focused on lease point, usually not too overloaded with character. And then there's vehicles that are for the tribe. Make something special for the community. They want to talk about it. They want to belong to something. They don't want to just purchase something. And I think vehicles do this well. Bronco does it extremely well. Defender does it extremely well. And this is a massive opportunity. A second thing we see on this front is this return to simplicity. And you see screens and screens and screens in your work life, in your family life, and in every life. This digital detox is real, and I think we want to build a vehicle that gets back to physically doing things, get back to the mechanical nature, not let software, AI, and everything take over everything in a vehicle. This is an opportunity, it's a positioning, and certainly we're engineering the vehicle to do exactly just that. And basically, if you look at every headline in every magazine, every newspaper, every website, this is a machine for this moment. America is building things again, full stop. America is rediscovering frontiers again. More and more outdoors, more and more hands-on, more and more aware. So that's what this brand is going to do. It's what the product's going to do. And I think more than just the product, the entire company, and you can make an argument the entire country, needs Scout. You know, there's all these things, again, about America losing its optimism, losing its mojo. Well, that's exactly what this connection machine is going to do. Bring about an optimistic company, building an optimistic vehicle, built, obviously, by optimistic Americans. Also, this concept of the American dream. Where has it gone? Doing things again, making things again, exploring things again, with your hands, with your skill sets, and obviously with what we're capable of doing out there. So again, we feel we have a brand, we have a moment, we have a product that's here. It's here culturally, it's here on society, and of course, it's here on government and industrial policy. So you had a chance to meet the governor of South Carolina. Obviously, we went through an extremely rigorous location front on this, nearly 74 sites. And this is where we landed in Blythewood, South Carolina. And frankly, we couldn't be any more pleased to be there. I think the infrastructure is right in terms of roads, in terms of rail, in terms of energy, in terms of power. But of course, more importantly, the people and the labor to make great things and be part of making great things is exactly why we're there. Obviously, a big plant. 45 JPH, upwards of 200,000 units capable of being produced there, employing 4,000 Scout employees, direct labor, of course with indirect, and of course the supply chain, nearly 9,000 jobs there, and obviously the ability to expand as we go. Now, obviously there's a lot of debate back and forth and lots of headlines about where will EVs head in America. And I think to me, it's quite straightforward. You know, first and foremost, the market is up to just over 1 million, about 8% of the market. It's quite simple in my mind in terms of what it's going to take to continue to get the adoption. What people are looking for is more security. When they look at more security, what are they looking for? Better pricing, 100% without a doubt. We've seen a lot of that on the mineral side, but of course we can see it on the industrial side, and of course we'll see it translate to the consumer. Obviously more infrastructure, and obviously more innovation. I think if you look at the arc of where we are in terms of battery technology, in terms of cost to range, we're nowhere near getting started. So what's going to be put into the marketplace obviously is going to be transformative. The other thing I look at is the size of the opportunity. There's 250, 270 million internal combustion engine cars driving around the American roads day in and day out. A small percentage of that has been moved to EV. So the industrial opportunity, the consumer opportunity is massive, and obviously it's this transformation that we want to put Scout Motors right into the heart of. So if you want to put a couple of headlines about what are we up to, I think first and foremost, revitalizing a loved American icon. Most importantly, a loved American icon that has a community, has a belief system, has supporters, can't wait for it to return. So it's not a created company that has a created name, that has a created thing. It's there. It needs a spark, and that's exactly the spark we're going to bring back to life. The other thing, of course, is it will be full stop American technology. Whether it's solid rear axles, whether it's lockers, whether it's the platform system, again, whether it's the battery, the software, this is going to be an American machine built for this American moment. I think the other thing that gets lost in this debate is obviously there's more infrastructure needed, but it is going to be American infrastructure. And if you look at the projections about the amount of chargers that will be on the road in 2030 or 2040 and beyond, I feel confident the collective will meet this opportunity that's there. And of course, now that we have a single system to meet that opportunity, of course, that is going to help. And the other thing I think gets lost in this energy is, of course, electricity itself. It's in every town, it's in every community, massive amount of labor backed behind this thing. So somehow this thing of electricity is somehow un-American is nonsense, frankly. It's 100% American, and it powers everything that we do all the time, and of course, powers many of the vehicles and the future vehicles that are out there. What we're in the midst of doing right now, and of course this is the most challenging thing, but also the best opportunity, is hiring nearly 50 people a month to design the car, to engineer the car, and to make all the magic happen around the car. So as I close out, what exactly will be the legacy? I think first and foremost, a car that started the magical movement of the SUV is now going to go back revitalized, electrified, and obviously incredible. I think the second thing is the restorative industrial effect. You know, obviously I've had a chance to see the former Scout plant in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and you see what happens with 17% interest rates. You see what happens when jobs in manufacturing get outsourced. You see what happens to communities when 6,000, 7,000 jobs go away. And this is what we are talking about when we build a plant such as this, a breathtaking opportunity to change the arc of a life, to change the arc of a community. These are not gig jobs, these are not temporary jobs, this is not, it might not be there tomorrow type of jobs. You're going to get new skills, obviously great benefits, and this is what we are looking to do, build a community with careers, not a community of gigs on that front. Obviously, the spark to electrification, and clearly a future-proofed environment. You've seen many of that here. Obviously, there's tons of work to be done to build more robust supply chains. Obviously, tons of work to be done to get all of the vertical integration to make this happen. But obviously, we're starting, we're beginning. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to present it all in front of you. So thank you very much. Very appreciate it. Thank you.